Children, Gauss's law states that the total electric flux over a closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed by that surface. The necessary condition in order to apply Gauss's law is that the surface under consideration must be a closed one, such that of a sphere or cylinder. It is also one of the four Maxwell's equations, and this law forms the basis of classical electrodynamics. And don't worry about the Maxwell's equations. We will discuss more about Maxwell's equations in our 8th chapter, that is electromagnetic waves. This Gauss's law was formulated by two scientists actually. One is Lagrange and another one is Gauss. This Coulomb's law, you had studied about Coulomb's law, right? Coulomb's law can be derived from Gauss's law and vice versa. So children, let's discuss about the applications of Gauss's law one by one. As we discussed in our introductory video, Gauss's law can be applied to find out the electric field intensity for various charge distributions. And here we are mainly discussing line charge distribution, surface charge distribution and volume charge distribution. I hope you remember all these charge distributions. We have discussed about this in our previous sessions. First, let's discuss about the line charge distribution. So what do you mean by this line charge distribution? Children, consider a line charge distribution as shown in the figure. Here, this is an infinitely long straight wire, and the positive charges are uniformly distributed along the length of the wire. And this wire, the length of the wire extends up to infinity because we have considered an infinitely long straight wire carrying charges. Now consider a point P, which is at a distance r from the wire. And this distance r must be very small as compared to the length of this wire. Now we need to find out the electric field intensity at the point P due to this line charge distribution. So how will you apply Gauss's law in order to find out the electric field intensity due to line charge distribution? So as you know, Gauss's law can be applied only on a closed surface. Here we can't find any closed surface. So the first and foremost thing that you want to do in order to apply the Gauss's law is that construct a closed surface, and that closed surface can be considered as our Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface means it's an imaginary surface over which we are going to apply the Gauss's law. It will be a closed surface. So the electric field or the symmetry of the electric field around this line charge is that of cylindrical. So we need to construct a cylindrical surface. That will be our Gaussian surface, and that surface must enclose this point P. So construct a Gaussian surface in the form of a cylinder like this, and that Gaussian surface includes our point P. Okay, now this is a closed surface, and what is the radius of the cylinder? Radius of the cylinder is r. If we consider the radius of the cylinder, it will be r. Next we can apply Gauss's law. So what is the next step? You must apply this equation. Closed integral E dot ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. Okay, so that's what we are going to do next. Children, have a close look at the figure. What we have discussed just before is represented here. See, we have considered a cylindrical surface, which is our Gaussian surface, and charges are distributed along the wire. And children, it's not necessary that this cylinder must include the whole length of the wire. We are just considering a portion of that infinitely long straight wire, and L is the length of that cylinder. A cylinder has three surfaces: one curved surface, which is represented by 2, and two end surfaces represented by 1 and 3. Now we are considering a small area element on the curved surface, at the same time on the two end surfaces. So what will be the direction of the area vector? You know, the direction of area vector will be perpendicular to the area element. So here, this is the area element that we have considered. And what will be the direction of area vector on the curved surface? Yes, it will be normal to this area element. So this will be the direction of area vector. At the end surfaces, we have considered area element like this. So what is the perpendicular direction? Yes, this is the perpendicular direction for that area element. So this will be the direction of area vector for the end surfaces. Next, what will be the direction of electric field here? As you know, positive charges are represented or distributed along the length of the wire, and for a positive charge, the electric field will be pointing radially outwards or normally outwards. So this will be the direction of electric field always at the curved surface and also on the two end surfaces. Now, since we are considering an infinitely long straight wire, we need to consider linear charge density lambda. And what is lambda? Lambda is equal to Q by L, where L is the length of the cylinder. Now, just apply Gauss's law. So, in order to apply Gauss's law, first you need to find out the total electric flux. So, the total electric flux, phi total, is equal to closed integral E dot dA equal to, because this is the equation to find out electric flux for a closed surface. I hope you remember the previous session. In the previous session we had discussed for any closed surface, the electric flux is calculated using the equation closed integral E dot dA. Since this closed surface consists of three surfaces, the total electric flux will be the sum of electric flux along this the sum of electric flux through these three surfaces. That means phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. Where phi 1, phi 2, phi 3 are the electric flux through the surfaces 1, 2 and 3 respectively. Next, so first phi 1, what is the equation to find out phi 1? That is integral E dot dA for the surface 1. Now, phi 2 is calculated using this formula integral E dot dA for surface 2. Now, phi 3 is integral E dot dA for the surface 3. Now just observe the first surface. For the first surface, what is the angle between electric field E and the area element vector dA? See, this is electric field and this is the area element vector. Now what is the angle between them? 90 degree. And you know E dot dA is EDA cos theta. So that theta is 90 degree and cos 90 will be 0. So for the end surface, for the first surface, integral E dot dA will be 0. Now consider the next surface, that is surface 2. Here what is the direction of electric field? Electric field will be always acting along this direction because positive charges are distributed along the wire. Now what is the direction of area element for the curved surface? Yes, for the curved surface, the area element is acting along this direction. Now what is the angle between electric field and the area element? 0. Why? Because both are acting along the same direction. So when you expand E dot dA here, you will get EDA cos 0. And EDA cos 0 is EDA itself. So there will be an electric flux for the curved surface. Again consider the third surface. In the third surface also, the angle between electric field and the area element vector is 90 degree. So here also the electric flux will be 0 because cos 90 is 0. So only the curved surface contributes to the total electric flux. So just expand the expression for curved surface. So you will get integral E dot dA is equal to integral EDA cos 0, that is EDA. Then electric field intensity will be same at all the points along the curved surface. The electric field intensity acting at any point on the curved surface will be the same. Hence it is constant. Electric field intensity can be taken outside the integral since it is constant. Then inside the integral we have dA. And I told you before, when you integrate dA, you will get the total surface area of that particular surface. And here what is our closed surface? It is in the form of cylinder. So what is the surface area of cylinder? 2 pi RL. So E into 2 pi RL. So we got an expression for the total electric flux. What is that? E into 2 pi RL is the total electric flux. Next, we can apply Gauss's law. And what is Gauss's law? Gauss's law states that phi is equal to integral E dot ds is equal to Q by epsilon naught. And we got an expression for closed integral E dot ds. What is that? E into 2 pi RL. And what is Q? We know lambda is equal to Q by L. So Q will be equal to lambda L. We need to consider linear charge density here because it is a continuous charge distribution. So Q is equal to lambda L. Now substitute these two expressions in equation 1. So what you will get here, instead of integral E dot ds, substitute E into 2 pi RL. So E into 2 pi RL equal to integral of Q, substitute lambda L by epsilon naught. And here L and L are like terms, so it will cancel. Then what is remaining? E into 2 pi R equal to lambda by epsilon naught. Therefore, electric field E is equal to, our aim is to find out the electric field intensity at the point P. So the electric field E is equal to lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R. Lambda is a constant, 2 pi epsilon naught is a constant. And the only variable is the distance R. So the electric field intensity is inversely proportional to R. Electric field intensity due to line charge distribution is lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R. So we have found out this expression by applying Gauss's law.